Welcome, everyone, to FragranceScopes again with the amazing Diane Crecca. Thank you so much, Diane, for joining me again today.
My pleasure.
We're going to talk about Pisces. Very
Pisces.
important season.
Yeah.
Very important season.
This is the first sign of the zodiac, right?
Well, no, your sign is the first sign.
Oh,
Aries is the first sign.
Yay.
Pisces is the very, very last sign.
Okay.
And it's the spine of the zodiac. Without Pisces, the whole zodiac would fall apart.
Makes sense.
So during Pisces season, you can actually take control of the entire year because the new year actually astrologically starts when the sun enters Aries, the spring equinox. That's the real new year.
Okay.
So with the Pisces energy before that, we get to, we're closing up a cycle from the previous months, from the previous year, and it's about letting go and really looking at the magic of the universe, and you're able to really look and say, okay, well, I want this in my life, I want that in my life. So it's a wonderful transit. So we'll talk all about Pisces and the best fragrances for Pisces. So everybody at home, for this episode, you're going to learn how Pisces energy enhances your intuition, compassion, and your imagination. We're going to talk about the metaphysical properties of suggested Piscean fragrances. We're going to talk about how to use fragrance to align with Pisces' dreamy and empathetic energy. And we're also going to talk about how you can find your perfect fragrance on Perfumist.Fr. This is a great app that you can put in your phone that's going to help you find the best fragrances. So if you hear us talking about a particular note and you're curious as to what fragrance might be good for you that has that note, well, you just log on to Perfumist.Fr. The link to that is going to be in the description below, and you can find some nice scents for yourself for Pisces season. And by the end of this episode, you're going to have the knowledge to select fragrances that resonate with Pisces energy, amplifying your creativity and deep emotional connection to the world, because Pisces is very, very evolved. They're very much about the concept of how we're all one, how we're all interconnected. So Pisces. So Diane, do you know any Pisces? Are you familiar?
I do. Yes. One of my closest friends from kindergarten. We're still very close friends. She is a Pisces, March 1st. And so I'm going to be paying special attention to, all of the various characteristics and traits of the Pisces. But so far, it sounds like her. She's very kind of, she has good intuition. She's very practical. Very kind of, level-headed, I would say, much more than me. I'm much more like flared up, So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Pisces.
Yeah, Pisces is such a great sign. It really is. It's a sign that nurtures growth through our intuition, our empathy. It expands by embracing creativity and emotional depth. So they're a water sign. They're mutable. So they're very, very lucky. And Pisces season is probably the luckiest season because you have the mercy and the abundance of water, but you also have the planetary ruler of Pisces traditionally is Jupiter, which is considered the greater benefic. So they bring lots of blessings. So Pisces is a very magical time. It's a very, very good time of year. And during the time of Pisces, it's a time to embrace your intuition by diving into emotional depth and exploring your creative paths to growth. And it's a very, very spiritual energy. And our new moon is going to be great for that because you're going to be able to really look at your life and say, you know what, I want this in my life in terms of romance. I want this for career. I want this for my home. I want this for my family. And it's going to be a really great time to take control of the entire year right before that spring equinox. And now Mars is direct. So there's no stopping us now. None.
Can't wait.
So let's talk a little bit more about Pisces. It represents intuition and compassion, embracing emotional depth, and using sensitivity to connect with others. Pisces is about healing and understanding as well. It's also a very creative sign, very empathetic. It's all about cultivating connection through artistic expression and a deep emotional bond with the world. So it's a very, very creative time. Is your friend is creative too, Diane?
Very creative. Has a great eye for, interior design, fashion, things of that nature. She'll be over at my place and I'll have something set up on the table and she goes over and just rearranges and that's it. Now it's perfect. Like I don't have that eye, so
Right.
I don't even bother anymore. Like when it comes to my holiday decorations, I just call her and say, when can you come over? Because I basically hold the ladder. I hold the hammer, that's it. She does all the rest. And it's just something innate, in her. So the creativity is just there, even as kids, she would draw a better picture than me. She could, draw better than I could, she just, that side of her brain just works that way.
Pisces is just like that. Like I feel like with the aesthetics, Venus, which is all about beauty, is exalted in Pisces. So it's the best placement, even though the rulers of Pisces are Libra and Taurus. Pisces, Venus in Pisces is exalted. So it's the best placement. That's why I always use the example of Cindy Crawford. Do you remember Cindy Crawford back in the 90s?
Sure.
So she was just, I always said that like she was just so beautiful. It was like evidence of God, right? Because she was just so gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And that's really what Pisces do. They take you to this other world. And it does very much align with fashion and beauty and interior design because it's all about creating those dreams. And they invite you into their dream.
Yeah.
No,
even when I go to her place, I mean, it's always decorated for whatever holiday is coming up. She has even cupcakes with the right, colored frosting on it. Pink for Valentine's Day, green for, she has little cupcakes all out and all that. So, she has that eye, like you said, very creative and yeah.
And they get really involved. The opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So they say Virgos find themselves in their work, meaning they're working and then they understand more about themselves. Whereas Pisces, they lose themselves in their work.
Oh.
So Pisces can work just as hard as Virgo, but in a completely different way. Virgo is very conscious about it, and Pisces just dives in and they get lost in this Riviera, let's say, of whatever it is that they want to accomplish.
Yeah. Sounds like her. Exactly.
Yeah. They're magical people. A Pisces can listen to a song and never having piano lessons ever. They can just go on the piano and be like, and then they're playing the song.
Wow.
If you had so many piano lessons, it's almost like that. Well, that's not fair. How do they get to do it? But they're so open and receptive. They're just very magical. And I would say probably the most just artistic people of the zodiac. I think they're just, so this goes in line with your friend for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
They're super artistic. And they're just cool people. Just cool people. So I have some really good news for us, Diane.
Yes.
Mars is going direct. And but by the time this broadcast, it will be direct. It's going direct on the 23rd of Feb, which is a big deal for both you and me, actually. You because you're an Aries, me because I have Mars in my first house, which gives me personality traits that are like Aries. So we may have been feeling a little bit sluggish or may not have noticed it, but the ruling planet, your ruling planet and one of mine, Mars, has been retrograde since December 6th. So our get up and go is kind of got up and left, right? It's not as easy to get things going. It's not a matter of you can't accomplish things under the Mars retrograde, but it takes a little bit of time to get your motor running.
Yes.
Like you can do it, but it's not that get up and go like we usually have when Mars is direct. So things are going to be a hell of a lot easier, I think, for all of us. With Mars finally turning direct on February 23rd, it's going to provide us with the energy to push forward with personal plans, especially in matters pertaining to the heart, because we have Mars is all about passion, and you're going to be most passionate about the things that you love. So now's the time to take action on romantic goals and to nurture relationships with compassion and patience. And, well, you want to smell great. You want to smell in a way that aligns with the atmosphere you're trying to create, right? That aligns with the dream. And I think Pisces energy is the perfect time for that because Pisces actually rules potions. And because fragrance is liquid, right? it's very much aligned with the Pisces energy. Pisces would be about potions and oils and lotions and things like that. So it's a very fragrance oriented new moon and season for us. But particularly with Mars going direct, we're going to be able to move forward with our plans. So it's really perfect timing, I think. This Mars direct. Have you noticed yourself feeling not as eager or not as energetic?
Absolutely.
You have?
Absolutely. You know, I usually get up in the morning and I've got my plans and I go, go, go. And the last, few weeks I've been, oh God, I just can't. Like, can I stay in bed all day? And that's not like me.
Yeah.
So I've been sluggish and kind of not looking forward to doing things I should be doing. And I really have to force myself,
Yeah.
and
That's very Mars retrograde. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, things are going to change
good.
very soon. Now, remember, Mars will be going direct on the 23rd, but it's not going to be up to complete speed until May. That doesn't mean that it's going to be necessarily sluggish, but as we go along, like you'll feel a difference most likely this week coming up, the 23rd to March 1st. But things are just going to get better and better when it comes to Mars. So that's going to be good for all of us, especially want to move forward with any plans.
Good.
And we have this Pisces new moon cycle from the 27th to the 13th. And that's going to give us an opportunity to reflect on our dreams, to tap into our intuitive power. And, what we do on this podcast is really talk about how it's important to stop and smell the flowers, to connect with our emotions, and the emotional landscape that is reminiscent of the atmosphere we want to create.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about embracing creative exploration during this period. We got some awesome scents that we're going to talk about today. We got lilac, which is ruled by Venus, and its element is water, which pertains to Pisces. You got lily of the valley, and that planetary ruler is the moon, which also aligns with Pisces. In the tarot, the moon card is ruled by the sign of Pisces. However, in astrology, the moon is aligned with the sign of Cancer, whereas the sun is aligned with Leo. But in the tarot, the moon card is Cancer, and lily of the valley is water. And then finally, we're going to talk about musk. Now, they used to use musk from the musk deers,
That's
but
right.
not any longer, Diane. Not any longer.
No.
Because we got to preserve our deer, right? We got
No
to preserve
animals are used in the creation of musk now. Nothing. It's all from plants and things.
Yeah. And there is a musk plant, which is nice. So we have Venus, and musk is very, very earthy, and we'll talk more about why this works for Pisces, but essentially it's good grounding for them because they can be a little bit too much make believe, right? One of my astrology teachers, she was a Pisces. She's in New York City, and she's like in her 90s at this point, but she used to say nothing is real to a Pisces.
Okay.
But that allows them to create their reality, and with musk, it's gonna help them to ground themselves. So let's start with lilac, Diane. Talk to us about lilac. What can you?
Yeah. So, lilac is one of the first flowers to bloom in the spring.
Is it okay?
Yes, which I think is kind of apropos because when you walk through a garden by the end of the Pisces, you start to see little buds here and there. I mean, yes, I know April is usually the time, but sometimes things pop up before that. So it is one of the first flowers to bloom. And it's I guess you could describe it as a floral, of course, but it's also powdery. It has some creaminess to it. It has a little bit of a lavender and wild berry notes, I would say. And it symbolizes love, youth, and renewal. Those are the symbols of lilac. Yeah. But there is a superstition that goes back many, many centuries that you should never bring lilacs into your home.
Ever?
That you should keep them always outside. And the reason for that started, and of course things evolve over time, but it started many, many years ago when they used to believe that there were good fairies and bad fairies. And the bad fairies always were attracted to the lilacs. So if you bring lilacs in your home, you're also bringing in the bad. the bad fairies, the bad joke, juju, whatever. So they always tell you to keep lilacs outside the home.
Oh, wow. Well, well,
Sorry. But if you
what if
have,
I already have lilacs in my home? I don't, but imagine if I did, then what would happen?
you have to throw them away immediately, and then you have to sage probably, I would say. But I mean,
Set them on fire.
they are beautiful, and they're used in bouquets and things of that nature. But they're best, served outside. And some people even get a little bit when you get too close sometimes to a lilac bush. Some of it could be so strong you could even get a little like rash on your fingers. I mean, there's some some issues with that as well. So if you have lilac, outside, looks beautiful, take pictures, bring those in the house, but don't bring the lilacs in, I would say.
Okay,
just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, we don't need any mean bad fairies popping up.
No.
That would be the last thing we need. Got enough problems, right?
Yes, exactly.
So Diane, you know how like lavender can actually be used in men's fragrances? I know my L'Occitane. Am I saying that wrong?
L'Occitane.
That has one of them that I have that I love. It has like lavender in it.
Sure.
But so lavender I would always associate with women, with femininity, but I have seen it in male fragrances.
Yeah.
Is lilac the same way, or is that more strictly feminine?
I would say it's much more common. You find it more commonly in women's fragrances. You probably could use it as perhaps a mid note, for a man's fragrance because of the creaminess, and the powderiness, because, a lot of men's fragrances have powdery notes. Men love to smell that powdery smell when they, put on an aftershave or something, because it represents cleanliness and all that. So there is a bit of that in lilac, and perhaps you could use it, in an aftershave. But for the most part, it's mostly for women, I would say.
Is it when you say powdery, we're talking like talc?
It's like a talc, you mean?
Yeah.
A talc.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like aldehydes, they call aldehydes powdery notes too. But anything like, baby powder.
Yeah.
That's, that's aldehydes. Yeah.
Especially with the barbers, when guys,
yes, exactly.
When we had barbers, they'd have this. It was a special kind of talc. It wasn't like the Johnson & Johnson baby powder, but there was a special kind of talc the barbers would put on you. So that's what you mean by powdery. So there are probably some fragrances, male fragrances, that do feature lilac.
Yeah, talcum powder per se. Yeah. And baby powder lately has been kind of getting a bad rap, as you know, because it's, if you inhale it and things like that. But the powdery notes are one of the most popular accords that you could ever experience. So anything with powder in it, people usually don't like. They'll never say, I don't like it, it's powdery. No, they might say, I don't like it, it's too fruity. I don't like it because it's, but not powder. Powdery aldehydic talc notes are always very popular.
Right on. And what would you combine with lilac that wouldn't clash? Like what other scent?
Well, I would say fruity notes too.
Fruity notes.
Yeah, because again, with lilac, it's not, a main star. It's a, it's the subplot. It's the, it's the second actor. It's the second act. So if you combine it with fruit, you're going to push that, make it cleaner. And, especially like citrus notes, to give it a little freshness. What's better than that, right? Especially in the summer, some fresh citrus, bergamots, things like that with some powder notes. You can't beat it for a fresh summer scent.
Absolutely. And would you say that lilac goes year round, or is it more like this spring and summer kind of
I would say spring and summer, unless, again, you're putting it with heavier notes like musks and things like that.
So you could put lilac with musk.
You probably could, but it probably will get drowned out. You want it to be you want to push it as much as you can if you have it in there. So I would say keep it delicate.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. The way you're describing lilac is very Pisces, like supporting character and can get easily drowned out, because Pisces packs a punch. Like they are underestimated, but they also are very much about surrender. So it's more like if somebody wants to be the star of the show, Pisces is typically go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Yes. Exactly.
Because
yes, or as my friend would say, knock yourself out.
Knock yourself
One
out.
of her favorites. Knock yourself out. You want to do it? Knock yourself out. So
exactly
right. Mm-hmm.
So other stuff in terms of Pisces, Lilac metaphysically, it's associated as you said, with spiritual awakening, also divine connection, bringing forth feelings of peace and protection. It's used for cleansing negative energy, enhancing psychic abilities, and fostering new beginnings. So it's perfect for this new moon.
Mm-hmm.
Lilac also aids in transition periods. Again, Pisces is a transitional sign because it's between seasons, right? Pisces season is winter, and after Pisces season, we enter spring. So it's a transitional month. That's a transitional sign. And lilac apparently is also good for transitional periods and helps us manifest wisdom and enlightenment.
Makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. And then the element for lilac is water. Pisces is a water sign, and that's going to help people connect with their emotions, their intuition, and the flow of spiritual energy, promoting healing and emotional awareness while deepening mystical connections. Is your friend who's a Pisces, do you think she's pretty psychic, pretty intuitive?
I in some cases, I think, yes. She doesn't really pride herself on that. Once in a while she'll say, I have a feeling this or that is happening, but she doesn't go out of her way to say, I think this will happen for sure. But sometimes she has intuition, especially around the new year. So it gets me a little afraid. By New Year's Eve, I'm like, please don't tell me anything awful, But so sometimes she will have, unfortunately or fortunately, a little, psychic bend to the new year. Yes.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, those Pisces are pretty psychic and pretty magical. So after lilac, we're gonna do lily of the valley. So I'm really not familiar with this at all. What can you tell us about lily of the valley?
Well, it's one of my favorites. I think first of all, they're so beautiful. It's brides use them in their bouquets. When they walk down the aisle. I know Princess Diana used it in her bouquet. I think Meghan, I think she used it. I think that it's pretty common that you would use lily of the valley in your bouquet. It's very sweet, fresh. It's very spring-like. It reminds you of spring, and has a little tiny bit of lemon and green notes, I would say. But it symbolizes purity, joy, love, and a return to happiness.
Oh, how perfect.
All wonderful things. Yeah. So, and they bloom actually from March to June.
Oh, okay.
So it's perfect for a Pisces. But it's supposed to be a lucky flower. So again, that's probably why perhaps brides, put them in their bouquets. It's very ceremonial. They use them in a lot of the ceremonies. It's very romantic. And this is not the greatest part of it, but it's part of the asparagus family, believe it or not. Yeah. So that's the only thing that, makes it kind of a little crazy, but it goes very well with musk.
Does it? Okay.
Which is the other, note that we're going to speak of today. And there's some really pretty lily of the valley fragrances that I think in your FragranceScopes, we discussed those. So if you want to read that, there's some very pretty ones. There's one by Joe Malone, Lily of the Valley, that I absolutely adore. Because if you can capture the pretty freshness of a lily of the valley, it's like nothing else that you can confuse it with. It's very distinctive.
What's that Joe Malone one?
It's called Lily of the Valley.
Oh, it's called that.
Yeah.
So remember. Okay.
Very good. Yeah. Well, she apparently, Erin Lauder, who is Estee Lauder's granddaughter, Estee had a house out in the Hamptons, and she had this huge lily, she had lilacs and lily of the valleys and things like that. And Erin took her inspiration from that to create a fragrance called Lily of the Valley, which is kind of reminds her of her grandmother's gardens out in the Hamptons. So
Really cool.
Yeah.
So lilac versus lily of the valley, how would you differentiate those two scents?
Lilac has more wood in it. It has more of a woody note in it. And the lily of the valley is much sweeter, fresher. You know, lilac again can be considered not a woody smell, but it's a little bit heavier. The lily of the valley is very delicate. I think they sometimes call it muguet, even Muguet. But it's very, 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 very pretty and spring-like.
Right on. Okay, so it sounds like it's lighter than lilac.
Yes, for sure. Lilac, like I said, it could be, you know, heavier. Lilacs are, you know, they're very sturdy also. You know, it's like when they say, you know, pansies are very sturdy. They stand up through snowstorms and things of that nature. So you shouldn't underestimate it. But the lily of the valley, I don't think that they have a very long shelf life. So when you get them, you know, utilize them while you can, because they don't last very long.
The flower is not necessarily the fragrance.
Yes, the flower itself.
Okay. Whereas fragrances, generally, you got to toss it within, I think, a year.
You should. You know, again, if you keep fragrance, you know, in the refrigerator, the alcohol will, you know, preserve it. But if you keep it in the, you know, on your dresser in the sun, it's going to turn quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, you shouldn't be very careful of temperature.
Good to know. And lily of the valley is strictly feminine, right? You wouldn't see this in any male fragrance.
Yeah.
It seems too light.
Right.
Imperceptible at times, like it's like a je ne sais quoi, like there's something there.
You can't put your finger on it. Yeah. You know, it is, like I said, it is sweet. So you know, once you know to look for it, you can see it. But also, I want to correct myself. The lily of the valley was made by Aaron Lauder, not the Jo Malone specifically. So,
okay.
But anyway, you should check it out. It's a very pretty bottle. So
right on. Okay, well the bottle. Well, metaphysically, they say that lily of the valley carries powerful energies of, I think you mentioned this, purity, humility, and spiritual cleansing. And it's used for attracting good fortune, strengthening intuition, and protecting sacred spaces. So this flower helps restore inner peace, enhances psychic ability, and again, creates a bridge between earthly and spiritual realms. So it's really perfect for Pisces season.
Absolutely, yes. Amazing.
It's really great.
Wow.
And its element is water, like Pisces, and that resonates with emotional healing, intuitive wisdom, and the gentle flow of spiritual energy, fostering deep connections to the divine feminine and lunar mysteries. Pisces are just so mysterious. And, you know, a lot of signs, they might say exactly what it is that they feel. And Pisces is more enigmatic in the sense that you don't always know, right? There's a lot of still waters really run deep with Pisces, I find.
Yes, I agree.
And the goddess that's associated with lily of the valley is Astara, the goddess of spring and renewal. Astara embodies the pure, transformative energy of lily of the valley, blessing new beginnings and supporting spiritual rebirth while guiding seekers toward enlightenment. Did you mention purity?
Yes. Diane? As a matter of fact, yes, I said purity, joy, love, and the return to happiness. But now it makes perfect sense why brides carry those, you know, down there and down the aisle when they're getting married. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, well, two questions. One, you know, like in high school, you go to prom and you get the girl like a corsage.
Yeah.
They don't do corsages as adults, right? Those are, or do they? Like
you corsages, would never get I haven't seen a corsage in I don't know how long. I don't even know if they do them even when you go to the prom. I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen any. I mean, boutonnieres are still popular, you know, on guys.
That's like the little flower they have,
like carnation or But corsages, I haven't seen those in quite some time, and it's a nice tradition. It's too bad, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, would that have been a good corsage that people would wear? Like, would you get a lily of the valley corsage?
I don't think so, because it's so delicate, and those little bell-shaped flowers would probably end up, falling off. Or I think you need to keep them, kind of stationary. Whereas if you have a corsage on your back and forth, you need a more sturdy, like carnations and things like that.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So Lily Valley sounds great. And our third fragrance is musk,
which is favorites.
Quite different than the other two. What can you tell us about musk?
Well, so musk, it's very funny. As we know, the musk started out many years ago from the deer, but they don't use animals at all now for any of it. There is certain scientific names for it, like ISO-E super. Whenever I would see that in a fragrance, I knew there would be a musk note. So they've been able to replicate the smell of musk through chemistry, which is, of course, so much easier, because when you use, real musk, first of all, it goes off very quickly. It doesn't, hold. But what's really weird about musk too is some people just cannot smell it. They are musk anosmia. They have musk anosmia, it's called. So you can cover yourself with musk, and you can walk into a room and 3 people will say, "Oh my God, it's so strong." And that 4th person might say, "I don't smell anything." It's just something in your nose that just, does not comprehend, it's an interpretation thing, So I always found that to be very interesting. And then again, people always think of musk as very heavy and weighs you down. And that's not the case, really. Musk can be a little fruity, clean, but earthy. And what happens with it is it kind of, when you put it on your skin, it kind of is a complement to your skin, so that it almost becomes a part of you, so that, when you wear it, it enhances the smell of your own skin, which is, I think, very nice and very sexy.
Very sexy.
Yeah. It's been known to have aphrodisiac qualities, actually. So it's basically just a very sexy note. They use it a lot in meditation. When you're meditating, they recommend that you use musk, because it kind of, settles you. But it's I think it's just a fun note, and it's very, very versatile. You can use it a lot. And what it does also is it grounds your fragrance. So if it's a very light, airy fragrance, something, you put some musk in, it's mostly all the time used as a bottom note. In other words, when you first apply fragrance, the first things you smell are the top notes, which are the things that kind of, disappear after a while, fruitiness, things like that. But the musk holds it together, and then it holds onto your skin for hours later. So you kind of almost have to scrub it off at the end of the day, but it's sexy, because like as I said, it even can go into your, kind of rub into your clothes a little bit, but in a good way. They use it a lot in some detergents and things like that, because it has a very clean, note. It's like I said, it's a very versatile note.
Yeah, I feel like it's really unmistakable.
Yeah. If you can smell it. If you can smell it. Yeah.
And I feel like it's very bold in that I think it really is a very feminine, sexy, like it's a very, like, it's feminine, but it's like, it seems to be very, very sexy. Like if sex was a fragrance, I mean, sure, there's more than one, but musk seems to be extremely sexy.
Yes, but it's not just for women. Men love it too, as they say. So a lot of men's fragrances have musk in them. It's very universal.
I see. Do you know any that you would suggest for men, musk wise?
Well, it's funny, again, when we're talking, in the FragranceScopes. I mean, Jovan came out with the first one, and it's
that was for women, right?
It was pretty universal. I mean, a lot of men didn't want to admit that they wore it, but they could wear it in a lighter version. musk is definitely not a feminine thing. It is universal.
Wow. Okay.
So, but these days there's a lot. There's musk. You'd be surprised if you were to research it. Again, if you go onto the Perfumist,
Yeah.
And you put in musk, you will see so many fragrances that have musk in them. It's crazy how many you'll find.
That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So I always smelt it. I thought I from my memory of it was back in probably the 80s with what you mentioned, Jovan Musk, because that was really big then, right?
Yes, very big. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that, and I knew it was like unmistakable. If like, like my mom would never wear musk. She's not her personality, but she would have people that would come to the house that you'd smell it, and it would just be a completely different aroma.
Why wouldn't she wear musk? I'm just curious. Was it just too heavy for her?
Yeah, I think too probably bold for her.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think she'd probably want something that was more imperceptible.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like musk. I don't know. I feel like musk is it's a bit bold. Would you call it bold or no? Or does it depend on musk? Yeah.
It can be. It can be understated as well. It depends on the person. It depends on your skin.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are fragrances that people wear and they smell like, like the house on fire, kind of like wham. They walk into the room and you're like, wow, what are you wearing? And somebody else can wear the same fragrance. I don't smell anything on you. It's your skin. It's all about your skin type. It's about what you had for dinner the night before. Right. So all of those things you have to take into consideration when you wear a fragrance. Lighter skins perhaps are, they are more complementary to more of the delicate florals. Somebody like me, I need something a little heavier in order for it to smell good on me. So as much as I love a lot of the lighter ones, for me, I need things like musk is my friend, because it's almost a catalyst for other notes. I think that's probably best said.
Would you wear it daytime?
Yes, I could. Absolutely. Sure. It depends on, how much you put on. Yeah. But I just think it's nice to always smell nice. Like I wear fragrance around the house. I don't even care if I go out or not. It makes me happy to put it on. So I wear it, Why not?
You ever put one on and then you're like, oh, I should have worn this one instead?
Yes, I've done that. I have. Sometimes it depends on the outfit I'm wearing, where I'm going, who I'm sitting with, things like that. But yeah, sometimes I make that mistake. But what are you going to do? If once it's on, leave it.
I know it's not as simple as changing the top.
It's not. You can't really wash it off right away. Just let it go.
Yeah. And I guess you could wear musk year round.
Sure.
But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like musk, if wearing it, would almost warm you up a little bit.
No? It may, but it might sex you up a little bit at the same time. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, if you're, going on a date and you want, to make a statement, go with something with musk in it. That'll do it.
Yeah. And you mentioned something that's really interesting, depending on the outfit. So there are some outfits you'd wear that you wouldn't like, you would wear with this perfume, but you wouldn't really wear it with that one. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's me. I mean, I do. If I'm wearing, or if I'm having a really low day, it's miserable out, it's cold and it's rainy and it's awful. Absolutely. I need fragrance to boost my spirit for no other reason. And I'll, wear something that sometimes I just pick something that I haven't worn in a long time. Let me see. And I put it on, I say, oh yes, I know why I picked this fragrance. I love it. Like I fall in love with my fragrances all over again. So it's something that makes me happy. Hopefully it makes others happy as well.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure people are pleased that you always smell nice. So musk in the winter and summer, you could even wear it in the summer?
Anytime.
That is good to know. Well, metaphysically, what do they say about musk? They say that musk is revered for its grounding and sensual properties. That makes a lot of sense. Awakening primal energies.
There you go.
And deep spiritual connections. It's used for enhancing personal power, attracting love, and strengthening manifestation work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. So this is going to tie everything together because you got those lighter fragrances. Not that, as you say, not that lilac is necessarily light, but I think compared to musk, it certainly is.
Yes, for sure.
And musk also supports meditation, helps
Yeah.
anchor spiritual energy into the physical realm, and it heightens intuitive awareness.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is
It's
what ties it all
crazy.
together.
It's so funny because I don't really see all of this before. I just tell you what I know, and
Yep.
it's somehow it matches up. It's very,
Yeah.
very crazy. Yeah.
It parallels for sure.
Yes.
And elementally, and I think this is really good because, like I said, Pisces can be pulled into things very, very easily, and they don't always know how to create boundaries. And I love the fact that we're using musk as one of the key Pisces fragrances because it's going to provide them more sustainability, more longevity, more groundedness that will protect their very sensitive natures. I think that if you smell musk on somebody, I don't know, because it's so intense, there might be a sense of like, oh, I better not screw with this person.
Yeah, that could be. It's all about interpretation. Or it
Yeah.
could be, wow, that person is sexier than I thought.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. It embodies the rich, deep connection to physical reality and natural forces, promoting stability, abundance, and the manifestation of desires while enhancing sensual awareness. So it's really good for manifestation, apparently, which
Yeah.
makes sense. It's very,
Yes.
very earthy.
Mm-hmm. That's what
And
maybe why they use it for meditating as well.
I'm gonna get some musk incense at least.
Mm-hmm.
And Aphrodite is associated with musk, the goddess of love, beauty, and pleasure. Aphrodite channels the sensual and magnetic qualities of musk, empowering matters of attraction, self-love, and the sacred union of physical and spiritual realms. Well, that's great. So we got our lily of the valley. Oh, we got lilac. We got our lily of the valley, and we got musk. We got it all, and everybody can go to Perfumist.Fr. The link to that is going to be in the description below if you're interested in learning more about these fragrances, so you can find yourself some new perfume for this Pisces new moon that we have coming up. And if you're looking to find out what fragrances would be ideal for you, well, I can run your chart and consult with Diane, and together we'll do a reading for you to set you up for success with the best fragrances for you. And a link to that is going to be in the description below as well. So I can't thank you enough, Diane. This was awesome.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
We had a lot of fun per usual. Definitely everybody at home, check out FragranceScopes.com as well as Perfumist. And we'll be back, Diane, for Aries season. That's going to be pretty awesome.
I can't wait. Be careful what you say about me now.
I will. I'll be very careful.
Okay.
All right, everybody at home, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.